Hello, good morning. It's 8 a.m. here in Singapore, and I will be joined by Ildica Boyd in a short while. Waiting for her, I have my little handout here. So today is actually the finale of our FYIC challenge, which we ran all of. Hi, Ildica, which we ran all of January. Hi.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. So
Great.
she's getting ready to set up. So you can actually find the link to the FYC handout, I think, on both our Instagram profiles. It's just a PDF download. And we leave it up all year. So you get like a 20-page, I don't have all full 20 pages here, but you get like a 20-page full color handout. And you can complete it anytime you like, even after January. Some people actually are still doing last year's one, and some people chose to do last year's one as a prelude to this year's one. Yeah, so have lots of fun with the fragments. So today, I have Ildica joining me. Say something.
Hello.
Yeah. So what time is it in Christchurch?
Oh, I'm 1 o'clock in the afternoon, actually.
Yeah, so it's 8 a.m. here and 1 p.m. there.
That's like, okay.
Have you had your lunch?
I have. I had a slightly early lunch. I would normally have my lunch about 1 o'clock.
I see.
So I thought, no,
this is
better
your
have
lunch then.
Yeah.
So a lunch of your
Absolutely.
imagination. Well, very apt because we got a lot of like food fragments here, like tossed in, like the cherry pie.
We did.
Which is today's one, right? So
Yeah.
Cherry pie for dessert, and then we've got like cinnamon rolls and pizzas. Yeah. So I'm a bit weird because I'm actually sitting here, whereas my camera is like this way. So if you can't see anything, please let me know. Yeah. So we're gonna start by showing you our current FYIC project. I think Ildica has a couple.
I do indeed. Yeah.
Go on, show them yours.
Well, I go first?
Yeah. Well, do you want me to go first? I have enough to go twice.
That's fine. I'm just thinking I might have to move my camera a little bit bigger. So one of the strings in the handout on the last page, we of course had space for all the fragments onto one sheet. And so this is the one that I was doing every day. I was doing a little post just showing the new ones and how you would slowly build them up. So that's my finished black and white one.
This is my favorite string. The one that you shared, the full page one. Yeah, that's the favorite one.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's all a bit different, and it's what people want to get out of a particular project. But I suppose as I've gone on with all these prompts, I found that I don't want loads of different tiles. Although actually that's not true. Sometimes I have lots of different tiles, but then I end up putting them in a booklet together.
But it's fun with variety, right? Like some choices,
But I quite like the idea of just doing all the prompts on one sheet, so that's why I sort of came up with that string.
Well, I really like this string, and I like it a lot better than my own strings that I sent in. So I sort of stole Ildica's string for this challenge, and I'm pretty proud of it. Yeah.
Oh, I think all the strings have their own place. So, sometimes if you just want to do a little tile, and just a few fragments on one string, the secret is to working out what works for you.
Yeah. But you don't have just one, right? You have a colored one as well, right? So you probably want to show them that one because that one's really special as well.
Yeah, so this one that was my black and white one. This one is slightly different and it's all finished off now. So I'm quite pleased with it all. So what I've actually used is one of my extendable books. So it's a little concertina book. Hopefully that's going to still stay in focus when we're doing it. So what I did is I stuck the usual front cover on it, just so everybody knows. And then when I came to it, I basically took week 1. So I took the fragments from week 1 and I popped them on a double spread. So that was week 1. And then week 2, again, just choosing the fragments that were in that particular week and building them up in those little pages. And then this is where I can never find it, week 3. Because I didn't do them in order, which would have been the sensible thing to do. But no,
Well,
week
I
3.
didn't do mine in order as well, so I'm blaming one. Yeah.
Here's week 4. So that was all quite fun. And then, of course, the last one, so I never find it, is week 5. But this one, because there were only 3 little fragments, I also incorporated all the little bonus fragments that were at the bottom of the page, on that last page. So week 5 with the bonuses. And then obviously, because of that whole string, I sort of did a slightly simplified version of it to fit inside the pages.
My spare fragments, just to show you guys. So she's talking about these ones at the end of the challenge. So every year we have more than what's required for the 31 days, and then some, you know. So we have like a variety of different ones. So this is actually my muse connected together, and then this is a different shape of, I think it's sparkle web. So we have like a variety for people to choose from. Even if they don't like a certain fragment in the day, they can that's assigned, they can actually swap out. So we just put in spares.
Yeah, we did. And sometimes, you know, you're sitting there and you just can't decide between 2. So, you know, the only way is just add one as a bonus. So there we go.
We have,
you know, different interpretations.
We have people who actually like the spare ones, and so throw them in, like all of them in. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you've got time, or as you say, you know, you don't want to do the one we've chosen for the day, then yeah, it can be quite fun.
And also sometimes when you from the primer itself, right? Like grab the primer and then just pick one.
Yeah.
From the primer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm gonna start showing off the one that I did on Ildica string. So I've like lined up 5 pizzas. 5 pizzas. I did ball purse. I was pretty surprised by ball purse, and I'll share more on that later. And then Ravensaw and stuff like that. So I haven't done I haven't completed my shading, but I've actually got all 31 here except Pandapic and Cherry Pie. So I've just got 2 more to go, which I'll probably finish today. And I'm really behind posting. But I'm not too fast about it because my co-host is pretty much on the ball. It's better to have one rather than none.
I did laugh. I get told off on about day 3 when somebody said, "You're posting a day early," and I was going, "Well, not for me."
Well, they get pretty excited. Some of them, I think.
I suppose, and people forget about time zones.
I know, right? You're like, "Hi, I'm in Christchurch. It's already, you know, like 1 p.m." Lunchtime. So I've got my week 1 here. So because 7F5R we do Wednesday live shows, and we try to complete the week together. So completing the week together, I've got like a few that I've done at the live show. So this is week 1, week 2. You notice I have a team going, right? Like a red black thing, and then FYIC week 3, and this all is actually, this is week 4. Oh, so sorry, this is week 3. Yeah, the week 3 is the large one. I need to hold it this way because it's that like lengthwise. And then week 4. So I have 2 week 4s. And today, tomorrow afternoon we have like the last of week 5. So tomorrow we have a live show at 2:45 p.m. Singapore time, which will probably be at night for Ildica.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got my little menu of fragments here that I'll be referring to. And I think Ildica has picked a few that she would like to share with you guys. So would you like to start off your first one first? We can do like them in rotation and then
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So then of course, so that was the hard thing about trying to find a tile I wanted to play with. So I'm actually, just for the purposes of making it easy on the screen, I'm actually just going to work with a quite plain tile here, just with a little bit of magicals in the red, and because it's also on the screen, I'm also going to use a slightly thicker pen. I'm going to use an 08.
Yeah. I'm actually using a PN
slightly
as well.
easier to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a PN as well.
Yeah, I do sort of know from teaching sometimes, especially when you're going through a screen, that sometimes the little pen doesn't work too well. And just before this will giggle everybody. I have these pencils here, and I was going to say, being from Christchurch, some people may know us because of a certain earthquake, but and I didn't get these pencils for my earthquake. I got these pencils because I was turning 40.
Oh, so we shouldn't ask how old the pencils are then.
Yeah, but they're a little bit old. I've had them for a few years now.
Well, they still work.
They still work, yeah. I was going to say,
Yeah.
I got a whole set of them, and I must be on the last few now, so that's good. I was going to use this string here, so the one with lots of seed shapes on it. So I'll just use this tile, and I'm going to transfer it on. So as a general rule, I'm just going to look for 4 different corners. So suddenly turning this tile into a square, just so I can draw those strings in.
Are you going to demo your fragment directly on the tile, or are you going to have like spare bits of paper? Because I would imagine that you wouldn't want to ruin your tile. Does that make sense?
Oh.
It's a pretty color. Yeah.
It is. Right. No, what I'm going to do is if I demo it on here on the black and white, and then I'll draw it in.
Yeah,
does that sound okay?
Yeah.
So the one I was going to choose.
Yeah, you don't want to spoil that tile.
I won't spoil the tile. I'm going to do Lindy. So I'm going to do Lindy. So this is one by Nadine Roller, and this is the seed shape that we turned it into. So it was ever so slightly different. And so I'll grab the string. So the way that I tend to draw this one is I start with the orb, just because it's nice to be able to just fill a bit of drama in and just get a little bit of a highlight left. So that's my little orb. And then it actually uses the seed shape at the very top. And again, I'm just going to throw a bit of drama in there. And then the way that I tend to do this one is just do a nice curve and down. I know when Nadine does it, she does these 2 lines going up first. Yeah. But I a little bit unusual, I think, in that I like to draw towards myself. So with my pen. And again, I'm just going to go for a little bit of drama and fill that space in. So that's me demoed it. And I'm now going to throw that onto my tile.
Well, Nadine is my classmate. Have I ever told you? Did I ever say that?
Yes.
Yeah, she's my classmate. And she's got so many wonderful tangles. I like Naki, I think it was. Yeah, so Naki had a pride of place in last year's FYIC as well.
Oh, right. Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah. It was a fun one because, you know, it fits into any shape, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like Ildica. I need to demo on another piece of paper first before I sort of shift and move it into my main one. So Ildica has a tile going. And then I have like, this is one of Ildica's strings. So I'm probably going to work on this one. And then if I have time or if I run out of space on that one, I'll use this one. Yeah, so I am going straight onto the handout, but you can actually trace your string out and do like what Ildica is doing because hers is a tile. So are you going to start on your tile already?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Brave woman.
Ah, well.
Yeah, so we each picked a few of our favorite or the ones that we wanted to sort of highlight to people. And she's picked 5 and I picked 5. So the first of my 5, well, I'm pretty boring. I go and do stuff in sequence. So I actually, in sequence, the first one of my 5 is Lola. So you know how you have like this triangular shape in the handout. That's Lola. Let me just show it to you guys. So this is Lola. This is day 3 Lola. This is Stephanie Jennifer's tangle, which actually basically can form any shape that you like. But I thought it was cute in a triangular fragment. Don't know about you, but you can always try it in a different shape. So I'm going to do a triangular one with Lola here on my demo piece. So we start with a seed shape and another seed shape. And basically you just fill it up with petals. So Lola is actually named for Charlotte, Stephanie's daughter, which happens to be my godchild. You can't give a godchild too many tangles, can you? I mean, she's got like Spud, she's got Moonberry and Lola.
I like what Lola stands for, though. Lots of love always. It's a brilliant name.
Lots of love. Yeah. So this is
I think
Lola.
I also quite like. It's a nice, very calming tangle as well, just with the little overlaps. It's not too complicated.
I think it's also a very intuitive sort of tangle, because once you start, it comes naturally. You know, some tangles you actually need to think what the next step is.
True.
True. I stress out when there are too many steps to remember. Don't know about you. Yeah. So that's Lola, and I'll probably work with it on my towel while Ildica would you like to share your next one? Or is it too soon?
Yeah. No, that's fine. I've finished that one. So the next one that I was going to choose was just one that I quite like the fun of, and that's tethered auras. So so I'm just going to find, so the tethered auras one, let me just find my sheet. So this
Day 23.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, day 23.
Day 23. There we go. Yeah. I did write it down.
Well,
so
there are 31 days. I can't remember them all. I need my little menu thingy to help me.
Yeah. So because it's a triangle one, and I've got these triangle shapes here, so it's actually got a big triangle, so I'm actually just going to split it in two here, so that the little triangle fragment that I'm going to use is a bit elongated, but that's okay.
Someone actually told me that the tethered auras one and the C-curve one looks too similar. But then when you, so I told the person that, yes, it does look similar on paper. Let me show you what I mean. So she's talking about the tethered aura being similar to the C-curve, right? But I was telling her that when you put it in a mosaic of triangles, then it starts to look very different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether I convinced that person though.
I mean, yeah, I mean some of the fragments that we've done obviously based on a tangle. This one is based on a technique. So you know, and it's just trying to sometimes think that you don't need to be complicated when you're actually coming up with something, and just changing a very small goalpost is really easy to do. So this is one where
well, I wasn't out to convince anyone actually, but well, I do see her point. On paper it looks similar, but that's the interesting thing of fragments. You know, you change something, just like one element of it, and then when you put them together it looks very different.
Yeah, but also it's a case of, you know, sometimes just slowing down and just thinking, you know, you don't have to make it all really you know, just if you just slow down and just think, instead of doing a normal aura, I'm going to tether it. I always find it amazing sometimes when you're doing this where you actually completely forget. In fact, I think on one of mine, I forgot to tether it on one of the, you know, one of the sections. It's like, I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I was supposed to be doing this. So it just is quite good to just have a simple concept, which perhaps just proceeds to make you think a little bit rather than just doodle.
Yeah, but you know, the tethered aura, it's actually a very fun thing if you don't lift your pen. You know, it's kind of like the repetitive, you know, very soothing sort of thing. One of my tangles actually features a tethered aura, so it's like a prantom with a stick. That's how I explain it. You know what I mean? Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's delete the tangle. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't leave the pen. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just kind of thinking, just remember it's not always about, collecting as many tangles as you like, as you possibly can. Sometimes it's just a bit of
Yeah.
fun to just play with the same technique or a different technique, sorry, but within the same tangle.
So with a teeter aura in a different shape. So in the fragments challenge we had the triangular shape and then the teeter aura. But if you have like okay, I'm doing it wrong, but if you have like a seed shape and if you have like a teeter aura, it then becomes a Dilis.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so Dilis was featured last year, so I wasn't about to rehash it again. Yeah, don't want you guys sick of my tangles yet. Yeah. So the next, I know, right? Yeah. So the next fragment we have that I picked today was actually Braven Sword. So I already have it demoed here, as a mirror image. So it's a seed fragment. Well, you can actually draw it in the full blossom version, but then by itself it looks also like this, like a seed, like by itself, or a leaf. So it's up to you how you want to embellish your Braven Sword. I've gone a bit wild here, so I'm just gonna demo it again on the back of my paper just to be economical. This is good sketch paper after all. So you start out here in the fragments challenge with a seed shape, but the typical Braven Sword actually has more steps to it. So Braven Sword actually starts out with two orbs. I don't know which is easier to draw for you guys, if it's just easier to remember the fragment or like the full scale step out. Um, Basically, it was deconstructed on the last day of my friend's 69th year on Earth, and so therefore 69 has an interesting play on this tangle, the number, and I gave it to her for her 70th birthday last year. So she's enjoying her 71st birthday. So when you connect this way, it's kind of like a reverse S. And then you get to decide how you want to close out your shape. So if you draw it like a seed shape, you don't really get a choice because your seed shape is already a closed loop. But then this one you get to sort of add like to it, and you can decide how many or how large you want your petal to be. So this one would probably be already confined to this space, something like that. Or you can add additional auras behind to sort of build up on the shape. So I like to add ruffles in my leaves and organic petals. And then I like to sort of give it a bit of a 3D effect. So if you shade this part, it kind of looks like there's layers to it. It looks like the Kala lily or something, I think it's called. Yeah, so you get a lot of options with this tangle. You can do like 2, you can do 4, you can do 6. Lots of you can do a border with it as well. Lots of variety if you click through the link on the handout. Yeah, so that's Braven Sword. I call it Brenda's Braven Sword because I gave it to her and I told her to do whatever she wants with it.
I think it's a lovely tangle. It's very, very simple.
Well, I
So it gives.
didn't go about trying to deconstruct it. It just fell out of my pen on her 69th, the last day of her 69th year. So I thought it was pretty coincidental. And then I thought it would make a great gift. So there you have it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a really good one to embellish in lots of different ways as well.
I think the other exciting one that I haven't played with enough is your Tangle Inner Cache, you know? So that's the next one that I would like to do. Yeah, I just haven't had time to sort of sit down with it that much, as much as I would like. Oh,
I'm
I
sure
want
there'll be
to
time.
draw D-list instead. Oh, okay. Let me focus. I made a mistake, which I will try and correct. Yeah. No mistakes. So what's the next one that you want to demo, or would you like to tell us how was your January and the start of your year?
Yeah, I certainly can. I'm just going to fill in an extra one because if I'm going to demonstrate on this one, so I'll just
Yeah.
demonstrate this one first,
Okay.
and then I'll
Can't
just talk about
multitask, right? Can you?
yeah.
I can't either.
Yeah. So I want to do this one, Pico. So this is this twist one.
Good one.
And yeah, but I'm just going to, because I've got a bigger space this time that I want to fill it in, I can actually do more than 3 little seed shapes. So the pikoruri is a Maori word for twist, and the actual symbol that it is based on is talking about 2 intertwining lives. So it can be often a piece of jewelry or a piece of stonework or a piece of glass that perhaps is given to a friend from another friend, just to illustrate and form the idea of their life and your life being part together and working together. Obviously, that whole twist feature and motif is in so many different cultures, I don't, you can't really claim it as one by all means, and I certainly wouldn't do that. But it's just a nice idea thinking about the fact that it's 2 people's lives twisted together. So I'm just going to throw in a few more seeds here, which I will have to.
Is it just cultural misinformation if I told them that it represents commitment as well, like a promise? Because I think on a previous live show, when we featured Pico Ruari, I actually told them it's kind of like a promise between 2 people, like, like you promise friendship and all, you promise,
yeah, it can be. I mean, I suppose it's a form of, it's a form of symbol of 2 intertwining entities. So yeah, I mean, if you give it to someone, it's a promise to to intertwine your life with theirs. So it can certainly be a promise. But like, I've got a beautiful glass sculpture given to me by a friend, and she gave it to me after I just helped her through a particular few bad years, shall I say. And it's just a symbol of your appreciation of somebody else's. So yeah, obviously that would be the phrase pikaruri. Pikarua. Ruri is you're talking about who they're named after. This is my son's name at the end.
I knew it.
Yeah. So, but most people wouldn't recognize it because it's an Irish spelling of Ruri. So
it's a beautiful name.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful sentence.
We liked it. It's the only one we agreed on. But anyway, sorry if you. That was quite a funny conversation. But anyway.
Hello, Steph.
Oh,
she's joined us. Yeah. Hello, Steph.
So once you've got your seeds in place, it really is a case of, it's a bit like working like ing, because you go in the same direction the whole way up. So I'm just going to start by leaving the top of one and just coming round to, I might seal that one in. And then I'll have to imagine I'm leaving this one. I'm going to go behind here because it disappears. I'm going to leave the top of this one and I'm going to come around that way. And then once I've got down to the bottom, I can fit this one in too, I suppose. There we go. So you can begin to see the curves going over and under. So this time, if I've gone down the way, I'm then going to go back up the way, because this way I take the end of this one and I'm going to fold it down to here. The end of this one, it's going behind my lilindi, as if it's joining on. And then that one will pop in there. And then the last one is going from the point on there. And you notice that you've now begun to interwoven those two streams as they twist together. So it can be quite fun. You can go around a circle if you like, but it can be quite fun to add more than 1 or 2 of these, and obviously you can make a whole big chain if you like. So I think on one of my ones here, you can see I've gone all the way up. So it doesn't matter if your seed shapes are different sizes, it'll still work. And even if it doesn't work, there's a straight one as well. So yeah, it's going to be quite fun to play
very
with.
Forgiving to play with, like they just basically absorb a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
So I found. So I found. Ask me why. Yeah, my seed shades are often well, I find them very very versatile, very easy to use, very easy to incorporate in a lot of tangles. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So how was your January? The start to your year?
Yeah, so my January's actually been really warm here. Unfortunately, Auckland's just had a complete nightmare, but
Oh,
yeah. Oh well, they've just had a whole lot of flooding.
oh, I think I
So that's
read about that. Um, yeah,
yeah,
we
it's
get
not good.
bits of very random news, like not all of it, but some of it, and then awkward bits of it. I don't get the whole picture here. Yeah.
No, no, that's fine. But no, but the South Island's actually been quite. We've had some pretty good weather actually lately. So January involved heading away at the start of the sort of over New Year. I was away with my family and my in-laws as well, which was lovely fun, and we had gorgeous weather down south. And then we came back up, and we've actually had a reasonably quiet time in Christchurch. It's been really quite quiet at home. I think a lot of people have headed away, so that's been quite nice to just be in your
I guess
hometown
I
and
guess
actually.
everyone's sort of catching up on like the COVID travel that they missed. Yeah.
Yes, there's been a fair bit of that, especially now that we've opened our borders again to people.
Yeah.
Um, so lots of tourists and visitors are coming back in again now, which is lovely. Although there's been a bit of pressure on some of our industry and hospitality industries because they're not quite geared up for it yet. So
Yeah.
but everybody's been patient, I think, and has
Well, what
I don't think
can
people
you
have been
do,
getting too
right? I mean,
argumentative
what
about
can
it.
you do?
Yeah.
What can you do? I mean, I mean, there are some people who don't understand what a pandemic entails, even until now. Like when we ship out packages and things, sometimes it takes longer than usual, but it's still a pandemic. Although things are open, so people just need to hold their horses. Yeah.
Oh well, I posted a gift which was on the 15th of November, and it got to the UK on the 20th of January. So that didn't get there in time.
Well, it's in time for the next Christmas.
Well, the funniest thing is it was actually one of my advent calendars. So they
Oh
were supposed to start it
no!
on the 1st of December.
Oh
So
no!
didn't
Yeah,
happen.
but Christmas shipping is nuts. I mean, that's all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did think I'd sent it off early enough, but clearly not. So.
Uh, well, Christmas.
Mm.
Yeah.
But no, otherwise January's been pretty good fun. Um, and I've been enjoying doing the fragments thing as I've gone along as well.
Right. So maybe I should go on and start with my next fragment before I
Yeah.
talk about my January, which was completely crazy. So I know, right? Yeah. So um, my one of my favorite fragments this FYC was actually an off. Well, we left it out last year because there were too many last year, and I really liked it enough to bring it back for this year. So it was one of the extras last year. But I really like Onamoto in the frame. So this is basically Onamoto, which is like a linear tangle with orbs in it, like a ribbon with orbs in it, drawn as a square fragment. So if you don't want to draw it square, you can draw it like a ribbon and it will be fine. So it's actually a fragment B5 as well in the primer. If you want to flip through your primer, you get lots more inspiration. So this is B5, square B5 in the primer. So this is actually a HQ fragment or a Zentangle ink fragment, which is drawing it. So I didn't come up with this fragment, but I absolutely love it. So I'm gonna shift that onto my tile, or rather my page. So I've actually snuck in a little bit of Ildica's choices as well, like Lilind and Pico Ruai. So I'm probably not saying it right, but well, it works. Well,
Don't
to be
worry.
fair, my coffee hasn't kicked in yet. I've only had like 1/3 of the entire thing, so I've got 2/3 of coffee left to go. It's just about enough to last me through the live show. Yeah.
That's okay. Just to interrupt something about when
Yeah.
you learn something when you're reading it, you know,
Yeah.
because obviously you're not listening to a voice on this one, and we always laugh because my son says for region, so he read foreign in a book, but he always calls it for region, so it's the word is known as for region in our house.
Origin. Yeah, so cute. Yeah, so I don't know about you guys, but hearing all the backstories of tangles is part of what drew me to the tangle. So I always love a good story. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think you can tell from the kind of blog posts I put out when I have like a new tangle. It's just more and more information about how the tangle arrived and stuff. And I wonder who actually reads those things, aside from us, like the nerds. Yeah. But I probably won't give up that practice, even if nobody reads. Does that make sense? It's kind of a reminder to myself as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good way of trying to remember something if you've got a story behind it.
Yeah, well, it's also a legacy because sometimes, we ourselves forget how did we come up with certain things, like how did we come up with a certain tangle. I've been really busy in the past as well, and there were bits of my CCT career where I was also holding down a job. So during those years when I deconstructed tangles, I didn't have the liberty of time or the luxury of time to sort of put in as much as I wanted, and then now I don't really remember how things started forming in my mind. So my blog posts, as lengthy as they are, serve some sort of purpose. I like to think. Yeah. So, quick one about my January before we move on to like the next topic. Um, we had an art exhibition closing off 2022, and then that rolled into 2023 as well. We crossed the border into Malaysia. So my team and I, we held a joint art exhibition, and we basically set up in an art gallery in Johor Bahru, Malaysia for about a month. We were there almost every weekend, I think. Susan was there every weekend. Steph and I, we only missed one weekend, I think. Was it 2 weekends? But we were there as much as we could. And I say this because there's like on our team we have like a 3.5 going to be 4 years old and a 4 going to be 5-year-old kids. So logistically we are a bit challenged, but we still try. So that was us trying, and we had a good time in spite of all the hurdles. And we grew much closer as a team. We really like the friendship aspect, the relationships that we are building. Um, our team mom came along as well. So we had Joni as well from time to time, and then Daniel came along on the last bit as well. So it was really an all-out thing for us. My aunt couldn't join us, but that's because she also had a lot of family commitments over the holiday period. So in Singapore, it's towards the tail end of Chinese New Year uh, celebrations. Um, and so it's been a very busy time, and I told my aunt just forget it, like don't sort of overexert. So I caught dengue fever when I was there, and it put me into a total spin of sorts. And as you can see, without my co-host, we won't be able to make it on time most of the time. Like I think I've been posting. So I posted on time until a certain point where I caught dengue, and then I was so out of it that I kind of lost a week of time, I think. So I'm really behind, and I'm happy being behind. So please leave me in my absolute confusion of a world. And yeah, well, you guys have been pretty nice to me so far, I guess. So I have no complaints. Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, you can't manage everything, and sometimes things pop up, and you've really no idea how to deal with them. So I
Well,
think
I
you're doing
do like to
really well.
try. Yeah, I do like to try. So, would you like to show us your next fragment? So, I've done Onamoto, which is my third one, I think. Is it my third one? Yes, it's my third one. So,
Yeah,
are you on your third
yeah,
one? Yeah.
yeah.
Go for
Well,
it.
before I do, yeah, no, I'm actually just going to carry on just a little bit from Debbie's tango here. So this fragment here. So just
Oh,
talking a little
yeah.
bit more. Yeah, just talking a little bit more about the fragment B5. Um, this is one of these tangles that, you know, if you work as a fragment, so this is from my fragment lesson, these are just some little props that I have. So you can see here that these are our fragment B5, and where I like to use it is actually, and I'm just going to use the one next door, so B5, but if I use this one here, right next door to it, the big kiss,
The big
um,
kiss.
yeah, the big kiss. So this is it here in a little fragment form. And where I often think it can be quite fun to use the onomato or the B5 is actually when, if you have a little bit of fun with your fragments by doing them in slightly different ways, like
So, she's talking
alternating.
about day 13, the kiss, as well as day 9, Onamoto or B5. So, she's talking about these two ones in the square. That's
Yeah.
what she means. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of, yeah, I'm just trying to illustrate, I suppose I'm sort of moving on to the next question. So Debbie's sort of next question that we were going to discuss today was the whole concept of fragments and reticular. And
Yeah.
so these are props that I use when I'm teaching that particular lesson. But you can see you can produce really different mega patterns going on. You know, you've got these constant lines that roll through it just by alternating two fragments together. So thinking about the whole concept of fragments, this can be another way of just having fun. And so when it finally looks like it's on a tile, at the tile, here it is. Yeah, so here's one where I've used that B5 fragment, but with another fragment, and just produced a slightly different tile, and just a different way to think about fragments sometimes.
Hi,
Yeah?
Susan. Yeah, Susan's just joined us.
So yeah, so it's just sort of going back to, I apologize for the black nail. I've been arguing with some black paint. And so it's like, oh, that doesn't look good.
That was really random. Well, if you didn't tell us, it could be nail polish.
Well, the rest is nail polish, but the black is definitely not. So, yeah. So, just sort of talking about fragments and reticular a little wee bit more. So if I just clear that away. So if, for example, we take, this is a really simple fragment. So if we take the Z fragment, you know, the Zentangle Z. So if you just put it
last year, actually, I think it was last year's FYC. Yep.
Yep. So if you put them all in exactly the same way, you can get, as long as I line them all up, there we go. You can get that slightly different pattern, that little elongated seed, in fact. Yeah. But if we rotate them round, we can get a different pattern. So if I just rotate some, we've now got orbs and a square, parallelogram, funny shaped diamond. And then the other thing to think about when you're doing fragments, this is why you can spend hours playing with them.
It's a cadence with an aura.
Yeah. Yes, but yeah, it is a cadence with an aura. If, however, I reflect it, so this is just where, I'm just checking, I'm still on the screen here, aren't I, at the bottom?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yep. So if I reflect it, so but the Z is now an
your bottom row should probably move up a little bit because it's covered in text. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good.
So if I rotate them this way, and then I could rotate. Oh. So this time I've got my S's, but if I rotate them as well, you can see this new shape that's just appearing, a sort of tulip shape that just appears. So yeah, so it's just I might go back to orbs now. What will I do now? There you go. So I like to have these little tools because they're quite fun to see new patterns. And I really like the whole concept of fragments and reticular because there's just so much ammunition and ways to use them without even, and they're really, it can be a really simple drawing, but you've suddenly got completely different things going on.
Yeah. Well, I think that because I got certified in 2015, which was like a really long time ago, the concept that as reticular and fragments wasn't around at that time. I think it was like much later that they came out with the primer. So, how people should learn about reticular and fragments first, right, technically, because it's the building blocks of larger tangles. We got to learn it the other way around, which was the tangles first, by virtue of, it coming as a Zentangle in concept much later, right?
Yeah, but it's a lovely, fun one to play with. Right.
Yeah.
There's the same
sometimes when I teach,
Zen.
So sometimes when I teach, I feel like 101 should be fragments class. Does that make sense? But then also I see why the 101 is a 101 still. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of it's kind of like a chicken and an egg basically. So because I got certified so long ago and my 101 and my 102 and my 103 doesn't actually incorporate fragments, because they came in much later than I was already teaching. So that was another reason why I decided to start the FYC challenge, because I didn't feel like I was using fragments enough. Does that make sense? Yeah, I just felt like it was like a gap in my own knowledge as a CZT or as a tangler. And I felt that I needed to fill that gap by doing something with fragments. And that was basically one of the reasons why I created this challenge. A lot of people thought that we created this challenge as a follow-up to the Inktober one that Stephanie Jennifer runs and hosts. Well, it's not really, I don't see it as related, but some people do. So it's interesting how people sort of conceptualize things, because we never expected FYC to really take off and stay around for so long either. So it's pretty fun to have Ildica on board.
I think there's a lot of scope to play with fragments. So yeah.
I think we were the first challenge that featured fragments back in 2021. So yeah, this is actually our third year, and I can't believe time passes so fast.
I know, sometimes it just does, doesn't it?
And especially having the pandemic in the middle of all of this, it kind of plays with your sense of time, Yeah. So I'm like, last week, and oh no, that was like last month, and then sometimes I go last month, oh, that was last year, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so but now just talking about which one I was going to do next. So I've got two great big seeds here in the middle.
You like
seeds, I was actually going to do.
You like seeds?
Yes, I do. I quite like triangles.
Well, you can fit a seed in a triangle.
Yes, you can. I was going to say, although I quite like working on Zendalas, so maybe I like orbs, or maybe I like them all. You can't
decide, can you? Yeah, you can't.
No. So this wee one here, Valpurd. So this is based on Valpurds, but it's actually slightly a bigger tangle overall. But when it's dealing with a really small area, it was a limit to what I can do. But because I've got some quite big seeds here, I'm going to have a little bit of fun doing it as slightly bigger scale. And so
I'm very interested in how you draw Valpurds, because I think I draw it very different to yours. So I'm going to watch you intently now. No pressure.
So this came about. No pressure. No pressure. So this came about when I was playing around with the perf enhancement technique. And instead of having the orbs on their own, I ended up just going, oh, this is a stroke that I use when I'm teaching the Tangle Nice. And so I use these seagulls as if they are flying off in the distance. So maybe if I put them upright, you can sort of see a row of seagulls. And then I take my perf and I actually balance them in the middle of the seagull. So almost as if he's carrying them on his back. So that's where it gets its name from, balancing perfs and birds. As I've got quite large perfs here, I might even put a wee highlight in them. And then to finish it off, if you want to anchor it, what I'm doing now is just doing an aura line underneath my birds. And that just means you can change this into a lineal tangle if you want. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. Whoop. I need to draw a bird. Oh, that bird's looking quite flat. He must be flapping his wings.
Well, I think that I accidentally drew ball pits in a different way. And then I liked it so much, I kept it. So I don't know if that's me being rebellious, but I quite like it, so I kept it. I'm just going to show you a couple of them. So I did ball pits, but I actually made the birds hold their wings together. So they're holding the wings of the next bird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've actually mixed it with Lilindi.
Yeah.
And you see that I've connected it, but my aura is not exactly connected. Well, a bit connected. Yeah. So I liked it so much that I stuck to it for this one as well. So, yeah.
No, that's fair enough. I was going to say, which one was the other one that I did? Yeah, Sparkle Web. Yeah. Dolly Boland's one. She, when I saw it and then did it, and then she wrote and said, "Oh, I like the way you've done it," and I went, "Oh." I had to go back to her step out and went, "Oh no, I've done it completely differently."
Oh no. Oh. But, well, it happens when you have like 31 of them. You sort of like formulate your own method. I made a boo-boo myself, so I actually butchered Anto's Tangle. So she's got Kia Ora, right? But then I remembered Koru as her name, which is Kia Oracle. So Kia Oracle is the handle that Antov uses. But in my mind, this was the Tangle's name. So I got it mixed up, and then I went back and apologized. And actually, this is Koru. Yeah. So they're both very similar Tangles, basically, based off the same inspiration, right? Yeah. So I made a video myself, and I was worse. I did it live. You can't beat that.
Oh, that's okay. I did hear that, and I'm thinking, I'm sure that Kia Oracle is.
Well, I did go back and correct myself. Yeah, I did go back and correct myself, and I did apologize. I think I tagged her in my apology. Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, I think she left a couple of comments that I haven't gotten to as well. I'm just all over the place this January. I will probably text her after this to apologize again.
It's okay. I mean, I've been amazed at the amount of posts that there have been, and it is actually quite difficult just to catch up with everybody and make a comment on everybody.
To kind of look at all, because there are so many, and then there are those on Facebook that are not in Instagram, and then there are those in Instagram and not on Facebook, and then there are some that are everywhere, so it's kind of confusing at times. But also a lot of fun, So whenever you turn on your Instagram, whenever you turn on your Instagram, you see like new people and then new posts. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been lovely to see how people have done it and doing it so differently as well. It's like, oh, I never thought of that. That's a really cool way.
Like Steph says, she hosts. So Steph actually admitted that one of the reasons why she hosts Inktober is to kind of like look at what people are doing with Tangles and then steal their ideas.
Yeah, I was going to say it's just a reflection on how different we all are.
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong way,
No, no, that's what the lovely thing is about this. Yeah. I've really enjoyed seeing some people have been doing them on bijoux.
Yeah, they're really cute.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, I did that on my Inktober last time, so I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that again. Actually, not last time, the time before. But yeah, they've been lovely to watch, and it's been really nice to see people using the bigger string as well.
Yeah.
That's been a week. Oh, great, that's lovely. I'm glad people are
I
enjoying
think
it.
it's the best string this year that we have.
Oh, I was going to say,
Hey, thank
but
you.
I'm quite enjoying this one. I have to
Thank
be
you.
honest, and it's only small. And I had great fun with your framed one. You know your
My
frame
frame
one?
one. What
Uh,
frame one?
uh,
Is it the one that I just? Is it this one? This one?
well,
The
I
big
did
one.
mine different. This is the one I did on my last one.
Oh,
That's the frame with the pin at the top.
yeah.
Well,
I
it
think it's
would
this
be that
one.
way up, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
that's the one.
it's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually
Yeah.
hung my chalk on it, off of it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a fun one to have. Yeah. Yeah, so now that you have shown us ball purse, I probably shouldn't do ball purse. Let me see which one I should do. I've got a few options. So the next one I will show you is Gifari, and then we'll see which one I will do next. So Gifari actually is Susan's Tangle. So we were at I think it was Gardens by the Bay, and we saw this plant. So there's a segment of the flower dome that's dedicated to succulents. I think Ildica will remember that one
Yeah, it's
because
beautiful.
she's been there a couple of times, I think.
I
Um,
know.
and once with us, yeah. I don't think she remembers any other plants with us because we were so loud. She probably remembers all the nonsense we were up to, and probably drove her mad with all the geocaching and all the yeah. So I am not demoing on my sketch paper, but this is how it goes because it's larger here. I actually have a smaller one. Do I know? I think it was demoed by Susan Yo herself. Yeah, but I can do it again. So it starts with an orb. You don't really have to be precise about your symmetry or the shape of your circle because it's a very forgiving tangle. And it's kind of like a reverse ball purse. You know, ball purse goes like that, right? And then you have an orb, right? So your bird goes the other way now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it goes, yeah,
Should
so
be
it's like a reverse.
another elemental stroke.
Yeah, the bird stroke.
The bird stroke. Yeah.
Yeah, so I need to rotate because I'm not getting to the angle. So basically, you just want to have layers of wings or birds, whatever you choose to call them, they work. Yeah, so you have like the shape of a succulent. Um, I can't remember what the succulent is called, but if you look in the handout, there's a link to Susan's blog post, which will be very helpful for you because I think I might be butchering her tangle, might be doing it wrong. But more or less, this is how it looks like. So Susan was very nice to contribute this fragment to us. And actually, this is her asset. I didn't redo her asset. This was Susan drawing her own asset, and then we borrowed it for FYIC. Bet you didn't know that, Ildica.
No, I did not know that. It's a
Yeah,
great
we borrowed her
tangle.
fragment like wholesale. Yeah, so she created this fragment for something else, and then I stole it. With all credits to her. Yeah. Well, it works. It works. Yep.
It
Yeah.
does. It does.
Yeah. It's really handy to have digital assets. Especially now with nerve pain issues and stuff. So that's Jafari for you by Susan Yo. What's
Yep.
your next one?
Well, that was the thing. They're going, oh, which one shall I do? So I was actually going to sort of wait until I see what the rest of it looked like and then realise what I've got one space left here to put in here. But I don't want
Okay.
to do a seed shape. Don't want to do a seed shape one. So instead I was going to do an orb one.
Okay.
just simply because this one, I'm going to choose Fancy, by Jane Rea,
Ah,
which 3
that's
and
a
6
good
is
one
where she
actually.
gets it from.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a little bit more organic, and certainly when people were drawing it and posting it, I saw quite a few people not using the orb shape necessarily. So
Okay. You're talking
just inside
about
here,
day 14. Day
yeah,
14.
day 14.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to put it in the one that goes behind my bell purse. Haven't quite finished here, but that's okay. And so I tend to start with a dot, and then I can produce my leaf shapes that leave from that dot. And I'm just going to employ a little bit of drawing behind. So it's going to disappear. I'll just give it a little bit of some dashed lines just to give it a focus. And then the 6, so that's my 3 leaves, and my 6 are the 6 little fescues. That one's going to disappear behind. And I've seen some beautiful people drawing this very organically with a little bit of overlap.
Yeah.
And it's worked really, really beautifully, I've seen. And it just allows you that there may be a string, but you can just ignore it, and you can overlap them a bit. In fact, and this is definitely one that, if the string is there, you can be a little forgiving with yourself and just ignore the string quite happily, which is what it's all about. The string is just there as a guide, isn't it?
So you draw yours in an orb?
I try and think of the orb, but then I suppose I don't know, have to try it with an oval, shouldn't I?
So I figured out, because I kind of find it a little bit weird in an orb, because there's a lot of negative space. So just to jog your mind as to what I'm saying, like this is day 14 and there's a lot of negative space in the orb. So it's kind of like it's floating in the orb. Does that make sense? And then there's all of these gap space. So I actually turned it into its own fragment and sort of populate it without the orb, like a seed with fescue.
Yeah.
So I thought this was very cute, and I actually like it a lot better this way, like without the shell. But of course you could also draw in the shell and then it'll still be fine. But I thought this was cute, so I'm keeping it that way.
Yeah. Where sometimes the string is useful is you can use it to guide where your fescues go to.
Yeah. So I do have an odd one. Can you see it tucked in? So this is the odd one tucked in. Yeah. But I really like the organic one a lot better. So this is the actual odd one, and then this is the weird seed shape non-odd one.
Yeah.
I wonder what Norma thinks. Norma Jean thinks.
Yeah.
We butchered the tangle. Oh, I'm sorry. But I did have a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah. I mean, you can just do it different ways, can't you? I did it. I was going to say that one I've done organically, but when I did it on my black and white, I definitely put them inside the orbs.
Yeah.
So, either way.
Well, like I said, fragments are very forgiving, like really, really forgiving. When I first started playing with fragments, like I said, I didn't think I was doing them justice. I was kind of like felt that fragments and reticular were like kind of like a rigid sort of setup. Does that make sense? And then I realized that you can do fragments organically as well, and then that changed my mind completely. Like the first year I ran FYC, so it's been a lot of fun for me. I try not to think about the extra work, but it is extra work for me as well. I try to make it worthwhile, and this year I have like a very fun collaborator with me, and she's been awesome.
Yeah, the other thing to remember about Fragments is, and I laugh because one of my really close friends is a maths teacher, and when I suggested that she do this prompt list, she was like, "Well, no, it's all really difficult, and I like everything just so, and it needs to be exactly this." And I said, "All right." So I said, "Well, use the string which has got, this string which has got everything in it, so you can just do that." And she's going, yes, but I'm still not sure. And then I sent her the one with mine finished and said, look, here you go. This is where you put this tango. And she went, oh, that's so much better. I just needed to be told what to do.
Well, it does make sense because some people actually they are better at following instructions,
Yeah,
and then some people are better off the bat. So
yeah.
I think that my team is kind of like we have people from both sides of the spectrum of following the bat and not well following the rules and going off the bat. Does that make sense?
It
Yeah. So
does.
yeah, so I kind of appreciate having Ildica because her perspective of things is not necessarily my perspective, but we are similar in certain ways as well. So it's been really refreshing having this collaboration for me because I was at the point of not being able to finish, or rather not being able to host by myself anymore because of all my commitments. And this year, like we said, it's opening up all over the world now, post-pandemic, or rather, like towards the close of hopefully of the pandemic. People are starting to travel again. Things are falling into place again. I really needed backup, and my team is actually overcommitted on certain counts. And having Ildica has just been a dream. I really enjoyed myself working with her. Not our first collab and not our last. I hope.
Oh no, it's yeah, but it's sometimes it's easier. What I was going to say, there's a lovely quote inside the handout. This is what
Oh,
you yeah.
mm.
So all those handouts in the handout. Oh, I was going to say if I go into my little, I can't find it now. Here we go.
Which
I
one is
took
it?
so no, this one.
Okay.
Enjoy and share. You see. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you've enjoyed sharing the hosting because I think it's been more enjoyable because of it.
Oh, I am always looking for collaborators and co-conspirators and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just always on the lookout for good people because I mean, we do this because of people, don't we? I mean, why, I guess the artistic process is very individual. And we get a lot of individuality coming through as well, which is important to the project. But also, being an individual so much, you get to experience burnout like no other profession because by virtue of it being a very intimate process.
Yeah.
So having someone on on certain terms is actually a lot better than having no one. And I think my team understands that very well because we are all doing our own thing, but then we come together for bigger things. Yeah.
Yeah, but I also
Yeah.
think I need a white. It's also very important, I was going to say, to that I think, especially when you can be quite on your own when
Yeah.
you're drawing,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing it from a mindfulness point of view, you definitely want to be on your
Yeah.
own.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I think you gain a lot by spending time having a look and seeing what other people have done and how it's worked for them. And as as Stephanie, as you alluded that Stephanie had said earlier, it's lovely to see how other people have interpreted the same thing
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
fragment prompts
Except
and with
she calls
the
it
October.
stealing, whereas I won't. So Steph says she does it to steal ideas, and then I'm like, excuse me, it's like recorded live, like you don't go down in history saying that.
Well, I was going to say there is a misappropriation, and there's downright stealing. If you've taken an influence off somebody else's idea,
Yeah.
but you do need to, as long as you reasonably credit where it came from, if you're going to try and sell it.
Yeah, well, she's just using the term in open and close brackets.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just not the sort to take your things and not say so. But then she does take my things, but she only does it to me. So you guys are safe. She does. She admits it on air as well. Yeah. Well, we're we're just crazy like that. So don't be too worried.
No, but
I think she's still listening in actually. Are you still here,
yeah.
Steph? Yeah, say something in chat.
No, but it's really nice with the Zentangle community. I think most people are quite happy to spread their tangles and work together and let people. I mean, the tangles are all out there for people to use, so I think it's just lovely that people do. And I think
Yeah.
generally most in the community are only too delighted to have their tangles shared and people using them. It is
I
why
should
you
hope
did them,
so.
after all.
Yeah, I should hope so. Yeah, so I'm going to sort of skip over ball purse now that Ildica has shown it. I will probably do my muse. Um, so I'm gonna do my muse here in this weird rhombus sort of shape or squarish, longish curved square sort of shape. But I will demo it here first. So my muse actually, if you look in the back of the handout where the spare fragments are, let me see if I have the page again. I have it somewhere. So my muse is a tangle by Ildica CVT. Home has actually announced a temporary hiatus from teaching, which I'm very sure is not an easy decision to make. So this is actually my muse. It looks very different if you draw it the way that she has taught it, if you draw it the way she has taught it on her blog. But it is also fun as a fragment to use because you can see yourself playing with all of these different shapes. And I basically changed it up to create a square fragment for this challenge, which is this one. Let's see here. Here we go. Yeah. So I was asked this question recently, why is hers black and white on black, whereas everyone else is black on white. The story is that I actually liked the black version so much that I thought it would be fun just to have like a black version in the handout. I probably should have included more black versions, but then I got too busy and then this was the only one, which is I think makes it special as well. So if you like, you can color it in. So I receive questions, do I color it in? Is that the purpose? Or should I leave it like the one that I see on her website? The answer is you can use both or none or all. I mean, it's your challenge for you to interpret. So I'm just gonna use this little blank here just to show you what the square fragment looks like. But of course, please visit her blog and then give her comments about her tangle, which is a very meaningful tangle if you actually go read her post. So kind of looks like that. And of course, you can choose to color bits of it in just to add visual interest. So I like to give it an inner aura and add more in terms of layers and sort of fill up certain parts of it to give it a distinct look and feel. So this is My Muse by Ildica. If I'm not mistaken, I think she has actually dedicated this in memory of her mom, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Oh,
This
that's
is the one.
lovely.
So
Oh,
yeah,
so,
it's from her days quilting, I think. It was quilting. Yes.
yes,
Or
that's
her mom's.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My Muse.
Yeah.
Ildica.
So that's two that are based on mums. Isn't that lovely?
Ildica, I think her handle is HK Tangler. HK Tangler. Yeah. HK Tangler. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So My Muse and Lilindi are both based on gorgeous mums.
Yeah.
Mm.
Speaking of moms, did your mom play with FYC? Does she know what it is?
I don't think she does because she tends to, yes, because my mum is a tangler too, as now a few people know.
Yeah.
No, she tends to do more Zentangle inspired art stuff. So I didn't actually talk to her about whether she wanted to do this fragment stuff.
Just
but
send her the PDF,
Yeah, she's been too busy packing because she's coming out here.
Oh, yeah.
So my mum mum and dad are coming out here. So yeah, so she's probably it's been very cold where they are.
Yeah.
So she said she had -3. I was like, ah. So
I bet you don't miss that temperature.
no, I don't.
Yeah, I think 0 is still comfortable, but anything below 0 is just not very comfortable.
Yeah. So I mean, we still do get cold here in the winter, but obviously, while you guys are in the other hemisphere are all beautiful winter
I
days.
I should say that the Scottish winter is very wet and damp.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the dampness actually makes a big difference. So in South Korea, where I had like a -24, it was a dry -24, and it was actually quite doable. It's the kind of like the sharpness of it being damp, and then the wind chill that makes Scottish winters really hard to bear. I mean, having experienced
Yeah.
both. Yeah. Yeah.
No, they're just definitely the wet is a different different sensation really to the temperature.
Yeah. Would you like to show your next choice? I think you have you have two more. Do you? I can't count.
Oh, where's my list?
Do you have
Yeah, I was
one
going to
more or
say
two more? I can't count.
I think I just had one more, and I was just going to say I've got I've run out of space on this tile, so I'll maybe just have to move on to the next one. So I might just go on to this one. So I was going to do the lovely L2, and I've just lost the handout. For this,
Okay, I'll grab it. I have it here. Yeah. L2 is day 29, right? Crescent moon and yin cut. Are you talking about this one?
Yes.
Yep.
There we
okay.
go. Oh, this is the one I'm talking about.
Yep.
And so, but again, this is the one that really sparks my imagination when it comes to fragments. And it's probably one of the ones I use quite a lot when I am teaching. And because, you can do it normally, repeating it, or you can rotate it and you get a completely different pattern, or you can rotate it the other way and you can get this cool pattern. And so you can now imagine if we rotate and reflect it in different ways again, you can have an awful lot of fun with it. So, or I could do this, and then you can work it as a lineal. So you can spend hours with this one.
Mm.
And so I'm just trying to, there we go. Oops, different again. You see, oh look, I've got lots of 4 owls looking at me now.
Yeah, I love the owls one. I have it on a, let me see where I have it. Mm.
Yeah, so I had loads of owls on my last day. I popped them all here, so they were all just in a row. But when I did it on the square one, I had them more as this rotated and reflected one. So, it's just such a wee versatile fragment, this one, and I find it popping in everywhere. So if I was going to do it on here, so now I'm going to have to find something that's got 4 sides. So that one's a 4 sides section. So here it's not very square, but that's okay.
Let's pretend it's square.
Well, good old parallelogram is here. So
well,
I'm going to do a curve.
A fragment of your imagination. So just imagine it's square. Well, I like the owl one, and my owl looks a bit angry.
An angry owl. Oh, dear.
I didn't intend for it to look so intense, but then, well, yeah, see? Does it look intense?
There we go. There you go, L2 or day 29.
Yeah, day 29. It's L2 in the primer, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it's L2 in the primer.
But you know, you can just
Yeah.
you can spend hours with this
Mm.
one.
Well, someone actually wrote to me asking what are all these code names. They are not code names. They are actually in reference to the Zentangle Inc. Book primer, Zentangle Primer Volume 1. So if you can get your hands on the book, you can actually unlock more fragments created by Zentangle Inc. But for people who don't have the book, this is a handy guide for them to download the handout, because I understand not everyone actually has the book. Yep.
No, fair enough.
Yep.
Yep, right. Okay, I found another tile. This one's got some squares on it.
Yay!
Yeah, so I mean, you can just I'll move all my little fragments away. There we go.
You need a bigger table.
Oh, you could spend hours doing this, couldn't you?
Yeah.
No, I use those little little squares for in my teaching, so they're really good fun to just illustrate the whole point of reflection, rotation, and repeat. So I find them really useful.
Do you draw each of them, or do you have them like printed into squares
No,
and then you cut?
I drew each of them once, and then I copied them out. I was going to say I have quite a few different sets,
Right.
so
Yeah.
there's just a few more. So I've got a whole box of them. So it just means that when I'm teaching lots of people, then everybody can pick up
That's a great idea.
one or two different
Yeah.
sets, and then they can all have a play, and everybody gets to see what everybody else did as well. So
Yeah. This sort of class is great for an in-person class. I do
yeah,
think, yeah, because when you get to play with it yourself and get to hold it in your hands, and then that's when the light bulb moment comes,
yeah,
rather than watch it on the screen, you know. Like, I mean, you still get it, but it's just different from when you have your hands on.
yeah. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
great lesson for group, because everybody is doing their own one. Then we'll come up with a different way of doing it that you hadn't thought of, and everybody can see everybody else's, and so you suddenly get 16 different fragment examples in one go. So it's great from that viewpoint.
Right. So maybe I should start on my fourth one. Which one do you want me to show? Should I show Kia Ora, or maybe... Oh, I did. This is my fifth one, not the fourth one, because I showed my meals. Should I? Well, I think the pizza is kind of self-interpreting, as well as the cherry pie. By virtue of pies being round first and then cut down to triangles-ish, pizzas are the same idea, right?
Yeah.
So maybe
Okay.
I should do something else.
Well, I was going to say you're the one that I like. You asked me a question when we were sort of prepping. You say which one surprised me,
Yeah.
and
Well,
the
that's
one
my
that
next question. So would you
yeah,
like me to ask the question for our viewers?
well, yeah, you asked the question.
Okay, which were some of the fragments you liked best, and were there any that surprised you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of, well, I was going to say this one is probably one of my I like best fragments. But
What,
then I
the
play with
L2
that
one,
fierce.
right?
Yeah, the L2. I also like
Yeah.
Giffery, so or Gifferi. I thought that was quite good fun.
Yeah.
And the one that I want to do more of is number 18, the cinnamon roll. I can just see with the weighted lines. I can see that having a bit more fun, and I want to explore that one a bit more. But the one that surprised me was actually the near last one, the Pandepic.
Okay.
Because I kind of looked and I went, oh, yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Well, here we go. And then actually, when I got into it and started drawing, I thought, this is so much fun. So, it's sort of, and it was great fun doing it different scales.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then I got a bit mad with this one. And then, but I like the scales. So I just thought, actually, that one totally surprised me. I thought, oh, it was going to be a bit ho-hum. And then it wasn't ho-hum at all. It was totally epic. So there you go. That's the one that surprised me.
Yeah, well, the joke was my husband was down with COVID at the time, and I was trying to fight off his bugs. He had an extended period of flu and then COVID, and well, we were hit really bad. I didn't actually catch anything, but my body was fighting really hard, and my body was shutting down the whole time. And all I could do at one point was snooze and sleep. And I chanced upon this image of a snoozing panda, and I thought, oh my God, that's me in a pandemic. So it's a pandemic. I wanted to call it Pandarella or some funny, like pandemonium sort of name. But then it got vetoed by my wonderful team, so they refused to have something called Pandemonium or Pandarella in the lineup of my tangles. And because we were running CCTAE full swing at that point, the registrations, the scholarships, the instructors, I actually dedicated Pandemic to CCTAE, and everyone who's been ever a part of CCTAE, before and after we went online and stuff like that. Yeah. So it is your tangle too, Ildica.
Well,
which means you have two. Yay!
So,
Well,
yeah, so it was
I
just one of.
Yeah.
I was going to say it was just one of those ones that I thought, oh yeah, and then actually when you began to play with it and explore it, I went, this isn't just a year now one. Actually, this is quite fun. Although I think,
and also you can
sometimes-
draw like different shaped blobs, and they'll be like flopping all over the place, like half asleep.
yeah, half asleep bits of drama. Yeah.
And then you throw in some leaves just to make sure they're well fed. Yes. So the one that surprised me was actually ball birds. Like I said, yeah, like I said, I converted it into like a flower. So these ones really intrigued me. Ball birds, kind of like looking at it, you don't really see the flower until you sort of put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once it's together, and what I like about connecting the wings of the birds, so to speak, is the fact that you're creating more seeds. So you have like seeds in a seed, which is, I'm sure that's not what you intended. Did you?
I mean, it's well, no, because I mean, I suppose mine came from balancing birds, so that was how it got there. But how you choose to incorporate it later on.
Mine are like connecting birds more than balancing birds. So mine will be it's not a ball bird, it's a corn bird.
Corn bird. A new type of bird.
Yeah, so another one that surprised me was I think all shapes in one was quite fun, I was actually so I actually have them here as well in this piece, and I think I did it somewhere else as well. Let me just look for it. I had a lot of fun with these ones. I thought that basically I did wonder if people would think that it's like a cop out, like all shapes.
Yeah.
Like, what were they thinking? But it's actually a really fun one. Let me see where I have it. Do I have it anywhere else?
Yeah,
I should have
I've got it in there.
Yeah, I got it somewhere.
I suppose in a way, it sort of, when I came up with that one, I was kind of thinking of Vitruvius. Do you know that one? And it's and it's sort of, I suppose sometimes when you're not must not draw on background. Yeah. So Vitruvius, just if anybody doesn't know, it's an orb, and then a square inside the orb, and then the orb again. But each time, and you switch.
Squares.
Yeah, but when you start the next square, where the lines kiss each other on the previous orb, that's the square corners.
Yeah.
Otherwise, so it's where they kiss, that's where you put your square. And I suppose it sort of worked from Vitruvius. Oh, it looks almost seed shaped. It sort of came from invidious, but at the same time I was trying to go, well, no, actually, I just want to get everything in one.
But
So,
it's actually its own tangle, I think. It would be fun to convert it into a tangle because it will look awesome on a grid.
yeah. No,
I
it's
would
definitely
name
one
it
thing
and
to
claim
play
it.
around with.
I would name it and claim it. That's a big hint.
Okay.
Hint, 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 hint.
Okay. It might have to be my next one.
Well, it's really fun though. Once you start, you can't stop, and then it gets very addictive after some time. So that was another one that surprised me.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. I actually have a space here for it, so I'm just going to pop it in.
I think what else surprised me.
Well, I'm sure there were some, more than one actually. That's the fun thing about Fragments. You get a lot of unexpected outcomes, and that's part of the fun.
Yeah, I suppose the other one that's quite weird, quite fun. It surprised me.
quite weird and quite fun. Oh dear.
Well, somebody asked how do you do it because it's quite complicated, and so it was a bit of a surprise when I thought it was actually really easy to just write it down as a list on how to do it. So just early on, somebody asked about salt and how to draw it, and so. And whenever I'm just starting with a hexagon, then I will always draw my 12 o'clock and my 6 o'clock if I imagine a clock face, and then a 2 and a 4, and then a 10 and an 8. And then that gave me my hexagon. And obviously the lines just go out a little bit further each time when you're building it up. So I can see how perhaps when you're looking at it, it may not be the most obvious way to draw. So I can see why somebody was asking, basically. And it just means then that if your hexagon isn't the perfect hexagon, it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, well, I actually like salt a lot. I think we actually have featured salt in one of the Tuesday challenges. I can't remember which year. Yeah, I can't remember which year that was. It was some time ago now. Probably 2019 or 2020 we did feature salt. So it's a very nice tangle. I really like it a lot. Did I like it as a fragment? Did I draw it as a fragment? I think I drew it, but I can't remember where I put it. Let's see. There we go. So I have it here. It's here. Maybe I should hold it this way. This is salt. So if your orb is a non-orb, you don't actually have to worry because it comes out great even if it's not round. So I purposely did a non-orb.
Yes. Yeah, so that was probably another one that surprised me, that actually when you looked at how Francoise had actually built it, it was really easy to see how it would how it works when she's broken it down so beautifully.
Yeah, so this is the round one, and then this is the slightly non-round like Basics, Salt by Francoise Lit.
Yeah. So she's
in
in Australia.
Brisbane.
She's quite close.
Yeah. She actually is where I used to be, so I still remember that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's in Queensland.
Yeah.
Have you done all 5? Are you done with all 5?
Yep.
Is it me then that I have one more, or have I done all 5?
No, I think we've managed to get there.
Oh yeah. Well, we are very good for time. I thought this would take like 2 hours, but we still have half an hour if you want it or not.
Well,
are you hungry? Goodness, you ate earlier.
No, I had my lunch beforehand. No, I was going to say the only thing that I was just going to talk about is just, especially when I'm busy working with a heavier pen, just think that you don't always have to draw a solid line.
Yeah.
So it's always good fun to pop in some highlighting. That's another.
Yeah, this one is reason why I'm breaking it up with a red pen, because if not, it's just too intense. The PN is like a 0.5 equivalent, and I basically like the 0.1. It's just that Some days I can't really handle a micron tip, so having a plastic nib is very useful for me on certain days, especially. Mm.
Yeah, no, they're quite good fun. But yeah, we're just and again, it's really easy that if you don't want to, I always remember, with some people when you're drawing a line and you think, oh, I have to make it join up, and so you can draw a normal line and then, but if you stop, you don't actually have to try and get back to the same spot. So if you actually just leave a little gap, suddenly you've created a feature instead of an oops.
Yeah, you know how you said your friend was a mathematician and then she was like, no, I want it straight and nice and everything. Well, maybe just tell the mathematician in you to sort of like go for a snooze. Go for a snooze for a while and then, just let it be for a while and then just tangle without any expectations. Sometimes it does help because then you are freeing yourself to make decisions that you otherwise wouldn't commit to. Yeah. So I think the moral of what I'm trying to say is to be kind to yourself, like allow for certain decisions to be made, like imprecise decisions, and then sometimes you are happier with the outcome, that way. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, one of my other classmates. So we were talking. We did a thing, and she talked about an oops. An oops when you've done an oops line. And she called it an outstanding opportunity presented suddenly.
Yeah, that's a fun way to put it.
Yeah. So I thought that was quite a nice way of just thinking, because it wasn't that you intended to do it, but it's the whole thing is that it's an opportunity with which you can do something different. So it may be that you don't have a solid line, or it may be that you make your lines more solid. Just roll with it a little bit more.
Sometimes putting a lid on the judgment, the self-judgment, helps a lot when you are tangling, because sometimes we just think too much. I mean, nothing wrong with thinking too much. It's just that you kind of have this expectation for yourself that it causes a lot of disappointment sometimes because you want something to look in a certain way and it doesn't, and then you're like frustrated. So sometimes just to get into the mindfulness, I tell my students to sort of like just tell that judgmental self to take a nap, while you draw, and it works. It helps you become more forgiving towards yourself. Yeah.
And I often find when I'm teaching, I always classic, I'll say something and I really like what you did in the center, and they go, oh, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to do that. And I didn't know that. So, sometimes when you actually just stop and just, taking the judgment out, you actually find that somebody else thinks it was a feature.
Yeah.
So, every little wiggly line is a little bit of character that wouldn't have been there if you'd just drawn a straight line.
Yeah. And also everyone's interpretation is different, So even if you had made a mistake, I would think that is your interpretation of the tangle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how you had interpreted it in your mind and how you wanted it to look like. I would just assume that was an intentional feature on your part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just putting down a second owl. Ta-da! Yeah, it's got 2 hours.
There's lots of vowels going on.
Oh. So you started on your second piece?
Well, I ran out of space.
Yeah. Is it also red? Like the same red?
It's a sort of pinky purpley one, this one, whereas this one was pink and now it's got purple on it because I shaded with purple.
I think you probably need to sort of take photographs because you know how on video the color doesn't really capture very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that problem with my magicals, with my tiles that are tinted with magicals as well, because the level of light also affects how it looks. Because magicals are highly pigmented and they reflect light differently in different lighting conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both of these are magicals actually. So they
Yeah.
do reflect very differently.
Well, I think I was a little bit wiser than I had planned to be when I stuck to like the handout strings in my handout, because by virtue of me going completely off the bat in January, I managed not to lose anything. If I had used tiles, I would probably have lost them all, like left some in here, and because I was traveling and all that. So was a good move. One that I didn't think. Well, it was really unexpected that. But it was a good idea. Better idea than I thought it would be to use the handout.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so much less fiddly than if I had not. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and also, but sometimes, especially if people
Yeah.
are traveling and stuff, just having one thing to work on is a really good idea,
Yeah.
especially with
Well,
one a
yeah.
project.
Yeah. And then at one point we were in between the Malaysia condo and the studio and Singapore and my home and stuff like that. And when you pack up everything and then forget where you put it. So I didn't want that to happen. So I think it was a safe bet for everyone. Yeah. This is probably my most unhinged uh experience hosting YIC. I don't think I've ever been this unhinged as a host. Yeah. So I
Uh,
know a lot of people have tagged me and I'm really behind on my comments, and it doesn't help that it doesn't help that Instagram actually filters comments as well. So if you drop me a private message and you are haven't spoken to me before, Instagram actually puts you in a different folder, and then I don't get it until like I check the actual folder, which I may forget to do from time to time. So I'm sorry if that is you. I didn't mean it. I will probably have to check my folders after this. Yeah.
uh,
So
oh
that
well,
was my experience.
no, that's fair enough. You just need to always, I think everybody accepts that, it's a free challenge. So, we're we're doing it for no payment here. So, you can't
Yeah.
expect somebody to
I
to
think
be.
yeah, I think we my team has a very strong ethic when it comes to free challenges. So we aspire to keep them free as long and as often as possible, because we really feel that, money shouldn't be a barrier to learning. Does that make sense? Kind of like when you first find Zentangle, you want to know a lot more about Zentangle before you commit. And a lot of people these days, for various reasons, are very tight on their purse strings. I mean, for many reasons, it's not just any particular country or any particular region. It's just that, well, if we are saying that Zentangle is a tool for your mental health, then what? Well, if you have to be paying for it, it limits access. So it's better for people to discover Zentangle through challenges like these before they commit to actually taking a class with a teacher. They need to find out whether they really like Zentangle for themselves, is what I'm saying. Enough to commit to a class, some of them. Because going to a class for some people is an extra financial commitment that they may or may not be able to afford in certain countries. And also having the equipment to actually be in an online class is also a barrier. Some people don't actually own a computer or own a device that is capable of supporting the Zoom app, which many of us use to teach. Um, And there are issues as well with in-person classes because I know many people who are immunocompromised and don't want to risk themselves by attending classes. So Stephanie and I, we run a weekly Friday morning class, or rather lunchtime for Ildica class. And we have a lot of people who otherwise would be unable to attend a real class, a real class. Does that make sense? We broadcast live every Wednesday because we believe that there should be an element of giving back, and that's one of the ways we give back to the community that supports us by hosting live social tangling sessions where people can just pop on with any art supplies that they might have and find 3 different ways of doing a certain tile, talk to 3 different teachers at the same time. And for many people, that is something that they can't experience in their home country. As much as Zentangle is worldwide right now, we have to be mindful that not every country has that same level of openness or technological advancement or mobility that they can travel to visit a teacher in person and stuff like that. So there are many reasons why this challenge is free of charge. So if you want to support our work and support our work as artists, you can actually donate to Ildica, myself, or 7F5R itself. Of course, if you don't know where to go, you can sort of text one of us, or if you want to support something that we do, but not necessarily us as individuals, that's also possible. And of course, there's no obligation whatsoever. It's just we believe that Zentangle should be something that is available for everyone. And that has been the driving force of most of our challenges, including Inktober, which is run by our friend Stephanie Jennifer. So over the years, we've built a reputation for free challenges, and we hope to keep it that way for a long, long time. Right, Ildica?
Yeah, I think it's a nice balance if you want to follow along to things that you otherwise perhaps you just want a little thing, and then if you want to learn a bit more or learn something specific, then by all means, that's where you can then go to buy a particular lesson or something, from a CZT if there's a particular technique or a particular project or something that you like the idea of. Then I think it's a nice mix of having the two.
Yeah. Do your students actually participate in FYIC as well?
Some of them do, so not all of them. Certainly I've got some do. What she won't post. One particular one won't post. The other one
That's fine. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it took me a while to be comfortable sharing my art online as well, seeing as I don't come from an artistic background, or I never went to school for the arts. Does that make sense? So it took me a while as well, and I can totally understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't understand it because I think her work is lovely, but
well, your work can be lovely, but you may not want to show that side of yourself because it's so personal. So I can understand that.
Yeah, because when I first started out with Zentangle, I was playing with the Diva Challenge. Were you around when the Diva Challenge was around?
Yes, that was very early days.
I think it was something like 2014. 2014, 2013, So I started out playing with challenges way back then. And I also hosted a lot of swaps at that point, like Zentangle team swaps on Swapboard. So I met a lot of tanglers, not necessarily CZTs.
Right.
Of course, my work has grown to accommodate my growth as well, which is working with CZTs primarily as an organizer and stuff like that, and also teaching CZTs as well as non-CZTs, which is the bulk of work that I do. And way back then, we all had blogs, and we would blog every week. But I think the blogging scene has sort of shifted as well, because now we're all into micro-blogging, which is things like Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. So I kind of like both. I still miss those days where, we visited each other's blogs more regularly. But then again, I don't think I can be that regular anymore. Does that make sense? So I accept that that's part of my journey, and then I'm happy that we have all, evolved. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it all just changes slightly. Yeah, you're right. Blogs have definitely disappeared.
Well, they
But
take a long time to write. I don't know about
yeah, they
you.
do.
It
Yeah.
takes me ages to write. Like, oh my gosh, the inner cache one was my last one, and I think I think I took 3 weeks to write that one because it was so long, and I wanted to make sure that I had covered the points that I want covered, and also have the story in place so that it will make sense. I mean, the story will definitely make sense to Ildica and I because we've been on that journey. But for people reading, they had to know what we were talking about, especially about the caching, the geocaching, and everything.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it would make a bit more sense if you knew what geocaching was. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I've managed to do a little bit of a monotangle there as well as my tile.
Yeah. So are you going to claim the L2 fragment grid thing?
Oh, I could spend hours with that.
I think it will make for a really fun exercise, even if it doesn't take off that well. But, having it down on paper makes it a lot easier to refer to again. That's what I found. And I would just claim it. I mean, just for the sake of being able to reteach it,
Oh, well, it's sort of in Well Who. Do you remember that
Yeah,
tangle?
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's
there.
also
I mean,
different. It's also its own.
yeah, but I mean, I suppose I just don't, if I can see an element of something else, I suppose I just prefer to stick to my tangles as ones that
Yeah.
aren't in their own right. Although although somebody did say to me on the Fragment Y7, which I said mimics a hot cross bun, and they went looking for how to draw the tangle hot cross bun. I was like, no.
There's another tangle that looks like this. It's by Jody Genovese.
Yeah.
It's called Forgiving. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a really great tangle, as well as fragment in its own right. So if you look up Jody Genovese on Instagram, you'll see lots and lots of lovely tangles. I think she came out with a new one, which I'm hoping that someone will pick up for Tuesday.
No.
Big hint. I think my team is listening. Like, big hint. Yeah. Yeah.
You can but ask, Debbie. You can but ask.
Well, I think I'm hosting Inner Cache this month. This coming month. I think it's the 21st of February. Do I have my schedule here? Let me just check my schedule. I am down to host on. Yeah, well, the idea was to sort of like take a breather in terms of hosting for a couple of weeks. So next week, Tuesday, Steph is hosting. Next on the 14th, Deb Boyer is hosting on her birthday. So Deb Boyer and Valentine's Day. And on the 21st, I'll be hosting Tea and Tango Tuesdays. Basically, it's just a Tuesdays prompt. I'll be hosting Inner Cache on 21st February. FYI, Ildica.
Okay, I'll try and remember.
Well, yeah, it's just a lot of fun for us. Yeah. So that's my finale tile. I'll probably complete it with some shading, but I think Ildica, you good to go or any more to
I think
add?
so.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm not playing again.
You're playing again? Well, share that, and then we probably wrap it up, I think.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, we can go on all day, I think, and then I don't think it's fair to hold you back all day.
No, that's all good. So there we go. I've got a few finished. A couple of tiles finished, and I'm still playing with LT.
Mm.
So but I look forward to seeing everybody else's.
Yeah, I have a lot of messages.
A few more people finish.
I need to be able to hang around Instagram to look at everything because there's so much. Yeah. Thank you for participating in FYIC 2023. Well, we've got ideas for 2024 as well that we will probably incorporate later this year. So if you have ideas for us, or if you want to see something in terms of the strings, in terms of the handout, do write to us. You can write to me directly, you can write to Ildica, you can write to the team, anywhere basically, because we've been actually receiving emails as well as messages on our private Instagrams, on our personal Facebook pages and stuff. So it doesn't matter where you choose to find us. You can always leave us a note. Of course, it takes us a while to find everything. So if we don't reply immediately, you can always drop us a chaser, but that might mean that we are slower as well. So let us know if there's anything that we can do for you guys, or if we can point you in a certain direction. I think we'll be happy to help. So I'm gonna let everyone go now. Ildica, want to say anything?
No, I'm all good.
All good.
I'll look forward to seeing people's finished ones as they get towards the end of the month and the beginning of next month. And I hope you get a chance to use the fragments throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, if you don't get to do them this year, you can always do them next year. There's no timeline involved with any of our challenges. In fact, all the past year FYICs are still online and accessible and free. So do knock yourself out. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah.
Thank
it
you.
was pretty fun having you on as well, Ildica. It was lovely to have you join me as a co-host as well as a live co-host.
Oh, I know I've enjoyed it. So good afternoon from me.
Yeah. Good morning. It's just 10 a.m. here. Well, have a nice dinner soon.
And you have a nice lunch.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye.